Welcome to the 1,000 Nights and One Night. Now, when it was the 713th night, she continued, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Ali of Cairo, after drugging the cook slave with bang, took the 2 knives which he stuck in his belt, and carrying the vegetable basket, went to the market, where he bought meat and greens, and presently returning to the khan, he saw Delilah seated at the gate, watching those who went in and came out, and the 40 slaves with her, armed. So he heartened his heart and entered, but Delilah knew him and said to him, Back, O captain of thieves, wilt thou play a trick on me and the khan? Thereupon he, dressed as a slave, turned and said to her, What sayest thou, O portress? She asked, What hast thou done with the slave our cook? Say me if thou hast killed or drugged him. He answered, What cook? Is there here another slave cook than I? She rejoined, Thou liest, thou art Mercury Ali the Careen. And he said to her, in slave's pathos, O portress, are the Careens black or white? I will slave for you no longer. Then said the slaves to him, What is the matter with thee, O our cousin? Cried Delilah, This is none of your uncle's children, but Ali Zabak the Egyptian, and meseems he hath either drugged your cousin or killed him. But they said, Indeed, this is our cousin, Sadullah the cook. And she said, No, 'tis Mercury Ali, and he hath dyed his skin. Quoth the sharper, And who is Ali? I am Sadullah. Then she fetched unguent of proof, with which she anointed Ali's forearm and rubbed it, but the black did not come off. Whereupon quoth the slaves, Let him go and dress us our dinner. Quoth Delilah, If he be indeed your cousin, he knoweth what you sought of him yesternight, and how many dishes he cooketh every day. So they asked him of this, and he said, Every day I cook you 5 dishes for the morning, and the like for the evening meal, lentils and rice and broth and stew, and sherbet of roses. And yesternight we sought me of a 6th dish, and a 7th, to wit, yellow rice and cooked pomegranate seed. And the slave said, Right. Then quoth Delilah, In with him, and if he know the kitchen and the larder, he is indeed your cousin. But if not, kill him. Now the cook had a cat, which he brought up, and whenever he entered the kitchen, it would stand at the door and spring to his back, and as soon as he went in. So while Ali entered, the cat saw him and jumped on his shoulders, but he threw it off, and it ran before him to the door of the kitchen and stopped there. He guessed that this was the kitchen door. So he took the keys, and seeing one with traces of feathers thereon, knew it for the kitchen key, and thereof opened the door. Then he entered, and setting down the greens, went out again, led by the cat, which ran before him and stopped at another door. He guessed that this was the larder, and seeing one of the keys marked with grease, knew it for the key, and opened the door therewith. Whereupon the slave said, O Delilah, were he a stranger, he had not known the kitchen and the larder, nor had he been able to distinguish the keys thereof from the rest. Verily, he is our cousin, Sadullah, quoth she. He learned the places from the cat, and distinguished the keys one from the other by appearance. But this cleverness imposeth not upon me. Then he returned to the kitchen, where he cooked the dinner, and carrying Zaynab's tray up to her room, saw all the stolen clothes hanging up, after which he went down and took Delilah her tray, and gave the slaves and the dogs their rations, the like he did at sundown, and drugged Delilah's food, and that of Zaynab and the slaves. Now the doors of the khan were open and shut with the sun. So Ali went forth and cried out, saying, O dwellers in the khan, the watch is set, and we have loosed the dogs. Whoso stirreth out after this can blame none save himself. But he had delayed the dogs' supper, and put poison therein. Consequently, when he set it before them, they ate of it, and died, while the slaves and Delilah and Zaynab slept under the bong. Then he went up and took all the clothes and the carrier pigeons, and opening the gate, made off to the barrack of the 40, where he found Hassan Shuman the pestilence, who said to him, Hast thou fared? Thereupon he told him what had passed, and he praised him. Then he caused him put off his clothes, and boiled a decoction of herbs, wherewith he washed him, and his skin became white as it was. After which she donned his own clothes, and going back to the khan, clad the cook in the habit he had taken from him, and made him smell to the counter-drug, upon which the slave awoke, and going forth to the greengrocer's, bought vegetables, and returned to the khan. Such was the case with all Zabak of Cairo. But as regards Delilah the wily, when the day broke, one of the lodgers in the khan came out of his chamber, and seeing the gate open, and the slaves drugged, and the dogs dead, he went into her, and found her lying drugged with a scroll on her neck, and at her head a sponge steeped in the counter-drug. He set the sponge to her nostrils, and she awoke, and asked, "Where am I?" The merchant answered, "When I came from my chamber, I saw the gate of the khan open, and the dogs dead, and found the slaves and thee drugged." So she took up the paper, and read therein this words, "None did the deed, save Ali, the Egyptian." Then she awoke the slaves and Zaynab by making them smell the counterbang, and said to them, "Did I not tell you that this was Ali of Cairo?" Presently adding to the slaves, "But do you conceal the matter?" Then she said to her daughter, "How often have I warned thee that Ali would not forego his revenge? He hath done this deed in requital of that which thou didst with him, and he had it in his power to do with thee other than these things. But he refrained thereof out of courtesy, and a desire that there should be love and friendship between us." So saying, she doffed her man's gears, and donned women's attire, and tying the kerchief of peace around her neck, repaired to Ahmad al-Danaf's barracks. Now, when Ali entered with the clothes and the carrier pigeons, Hassan Shuman gave the hall-keeper the price of 40 pigeons, and he bought them, and cooked them amongst the men. Presently there came a knock at the door, and Ahmad said, "This is Delilah's knock. Rise and open to her, O housekeeper." So he admitted her, and Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased her permitted say. Now, when it was the 714th night, she pursued, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when Delilah was admitted, Hassan asked her, 'What bringeth thee hither, O ill-omened old woman? Verily thou and thy brother Zurach, the fishmonger, are of a piece.' And she answered, 'O captain, I am in the wrong, and this my neck is at thy mercy. But tell me, which of you was that played me this trick?' Quoth Calamity Ahmad, ''Twas the first of my lads.' Rejoiced Delilah, 'For the sake of Allah, intercede with him to give me back the carrier pigeons and what not, and thou wilt lay me under great obligation.' When Hassan heard this, he said, 'Allah requite thee.' 'O Ali, why didst thou cook the pigeons?' And Ali answered, 'I knew not that they were carrier pigeons.' Then said Ahmad, 'O hall-keeper, bring us the cooking pigeons.' So he brought them, and Delilah took a piece, and tasting it said, 'This is none of the carrier pigeon flesh, for I fed them on grains of musk, and their meat is become even as musk.' Quoth Shuman, 'And thou desire to have carrier pigeons comply with Ali's will? Ask, what is that?' And Hassan answered, 'He would have thee marry him to her daughter Zaynab.' She answered, 'I have not command over her except of affection.' And Hassan said to Ali the Kareem, 'Give her the pigeons.' So he gave them to her, and she took them and rejoiced in them. Then quoth Hassan to her, 'There is no help, but thou return us a sufficient reply.' And Delilah rejoined, 'If it be indeed his wish to marry her, it availed nothing to play this clever trick upon us. It behoveth him rather to demand her in marriage of her mother's brother, and the captain Zurach, him who cried out, saying, Ho, a pound of fish for 2 farthings, and who hangeth up in his shop a purse containing 2,000 dinars. When the 40 heard this, they all rose and cried out, saying, What manner of blather is this, O harlot? Dost thou wish to bereave us our brother Ali of Cairo? Then she returned to the Khan and said to her daughter, Ali the Egyptian seeketh thee in marriage. Whereat Zaynab rejoiced, for she loved him because of his chaste forbearance towards her, and asked her mother what had passed. So she told her, adding, I made a condition that he should demand thy hand of thine uncle, so I might make him fall into destruction. Meanwhile, Ali turned to his fellows and asked them, What manner of man is this Zurach? And they answered, he was a chief of the sharpers of all Iraq land, and could all but pierce mountains and lay hold upon the stars. He was still the coal from the eye, and in brief, he had not his match in roguery, but he hath repented his sins, and forsworn his old way of life, and opened him a fishmonger's shop. And now he hath amassed 2,000 dinars by the sale of fish, and laid them in a purse with strings of silk, to which he hath tied bells and rings and rattles and brass hung on a peg within the doorway. Every time he openeth his shop, he suspended the said purse, crying out, saying, Where are ye, O sharpers of Egypt, O prigs of all Iraq, O tricksters of Ajamland? Behold, Zurach the fishmonger hath hung up a purse in front of his shop, and whoso pretendeth to craft and cunning, and can take it by sleight, it is his. So the long-fingered and greedy-minded come to try to take the purse, but cannot. For whilst he frieth his fish, and tendeth the fire, he layeth at his feet scone-like circles of lead. And whenever a thief thinketh to take him unawares, and make a snatch at the purse, he casteth at him a load of lead, and slayeth him or doeth him damage. So, Ali, wert thou to tackle him, thou wouldst be as one who jostleth a funeral cortege, unknowing who is dead, for thou art no match for him, and we fear for mischief for thee. Indeed, thou hast no call to marry Zaynab, and he who liveth a thing alone liveth without it. Cried Ali, This were shame, O comrades, needs must I take the purse, but bring me a young lady's habit. So they brought him a woman's clothes, and he clad himself therein, and stained his hands with henna, and modestly hung down his veil. Then he took a lamp, and killing it, cut out the long intestines, which he cleaned and tied up below. Moreover, he filled it with blood, and bound it between his thighs, after which he donned petticoat trousers and walking boots. He also made himself a pair of false breasts with bird crops, and filled them with thickened milk, and tied it round his hips, and over his belly a piece of linen which he stuffed with cotton, girding himself over all with a kerchief of silk, well starched. Then he went out, whilst all who saw him proclaimed, What a fine pair of hen cheeks! Presently he saw an ass-driver coming, so he gave him a dinar, and mounting rode till he came to Zurach's shop, where he saw the purse hung up, and the gold glittering through it. Now Zurach was frying fish, and Ali said, O ass-man, what is that smell? Replied he, It's the smell of Zurach's fish. Quoth Ali, I am a woman with child, and the smell harmeth me. Go fetch me a slice of fish. So the donkey boy said to Zurach, What aileth thee to fry fish so early, and annoy pregnant women with the smell? I have here the wife of Emir Hassan Shar al-Tariq, and she is with child. So give her a bit of fish for the babe stirreth in her womb. O protector, my God, avert from us the mischiefs of this day. Thereupon Zurach took a piece of fish, and would have fried it, but the fire had gone out, and he went to kindle it. Meanwhile, Ali dismounted, and sitting down, pressed upon the lamb's intestine till it burst, and the blood ran down from between the legs. Then he cried out aloud, Oh, my back! Oh, my side! Whereupon the driver turned, and seeing the blood running, said, What aileth thee, O my lady? Replied Ali, I have miscarried. Whereupon Zurach looked out, and seeing the blood, fled affright from the inner shop. Quoth the donkey driver, Allah torment thee, O Zurach! The lady hath miscarried, and thou art no match for her husband. Why must thou make a stench so early in the morning? I said to thee, Bring her a slice, but thou wouldst not. Thereupon he took his ass, and he went his way, as Zurach still did not appear. Ali put his hand to the purse, but no sooner had he touched it than the bells and rattles rung began to jingle, and the gold to chink. Quoth Zurach, who turned at the sound, Thy perfidy hath come to light, O gallows bird. Wilt thou put a cheat on me, and thou in a woman's habit? Now take what cometh to thee. And he threw a cake of lead at him, but it went hegley and lighted on another, whereupon the people rose against Zurach, and said to him, Art thou a tradesman, or a swashbuckler? And thou be a tradesman, take down thy purse, and spare the folk thy mischief. He replied, Bismillah, in the name of Allah, on my head be it. As for Ali, He made off to the barracks, and told Hassan Shuman what had dawned after which he put on his woman's gear, and donning a groom's habit, which was brought to him by his chief, took a dish and 5 dirhams. Then he returned to Zuraq's shop, and the fishmonger said to him, "What dost thou want, O my master?" He showed him the dirhams, and Zuraq would have given him of the fish in the tray, but he said, "I will have none save hot fish." So he set a fish in the earthen pan, and finding the fire dead, went to relight it. Whereupon Ali put his hand to the purse, and caught hold of the end of it. The rattles and rings and bells jingled, and Zuraq said, "Thy trick hath not deceived me. I knew thee for all thy art disguised as a groom by the grip of thy hand on the dish and the dirhams." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased to say her permitted say. Now, when it was the 715th night, she resumed, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when Ali of Egypt put his hand to the purse, the bells and rings jingled, and Zuraq said, 'Thy trick hath not deceived me, for all thou hast comest disguised as a groom. I knew thee by the grip of thy hand on the dish and the dirhams.' So saying, he threw lead at him, but he avoided it, and it fell into the pan full of hot fish, and broke it, and overturned it, fat and all, upon the breast and shoulders of the Kazi, who was passing. The oil ran down inside his clothes to his privy parts, and he cried out, 'Oh, oh, my privities! What a sad pickle you are in!' 'Alas, unhappy am I! Who hath played me this trick?' answered the people. 'O our lord, it was some small boy that threw a stone into the pan, but for Allah's ward, it had been worse.' Then they turned, and seeing the loaf of lead, and that it was Zuraq who had thrown it, rose against him and said to him, 'O Zuraq, this is not allowed of Allah. Take down the purse, or it shall go ill for thee.' Answered he, 'I will take it down, inshallah.' Meanwhile, Ali returned to the barracks, and told his comrades, who cried, 'Where is the purse?' 'All that hath passed,' and they said, 'Thou hast exhausted 2/3 of his cunning.' Then he changed his groom's dress for the garb of a merchant, and going out met a snake charmer with a bag of serpents and a wallet containing his kit, to whom he said, 'O charmer, come and amuse my lads, and thou shalt have largesse.' So he accompanied him to the barracks, where he fed him and drugged him with bhang, and doffed his clothes and put them on. Then he took the bag, and repairing to Zuraq's shop, began to play the reed pipe. Quoth Zuraq, 'Allah provide thee.' But Ali pulled out the serpents and cast them down before him, whereat the fisher seller, who was afraid of snakes, fled from into the inner shop. Thereupon Ali picked up the reptiles, and thrusting them back into the bag, stretched out his hand, caught hold of the end of the purse. The rings again rang, and the bells rattled and jangled, and Zuraq cried, 'Wilt thou never cease to play me tricks? Now thou feignest thyself as a serpent charmer?' So saying, he took a piece of lead and hurled it at Ali, but it missed him, and it fell on the head of a groom who was passing by, following his master, a trooper, and knocked him down. Quoth the soldier, 'Who felled me?' And the folk said, ''Twas a stone fell from the roof.' So the soldier passed on, and the people, seeing the piece of lead, went up to Zuraq and cried at him, 'Take down the purse.' And he said, 'Inshallah, I will take it down this very night.' Ali ceased not to practice upon Zuraq till it had made 7 different attempts, but without taking the purse. Then he returned the snake charmer his clothes and kit, and gave him due benevolence. After which he went back to Zuraq's shop, and heard him say, 'If I leave the purse here tonight, he will dig through the shop walls and take it. I will carry it home with me.' So he rose and shut the shop. Then he took down the purse, and putting it in his bosom, set out home, till he came near his house, when he saw a wedding and a neighbor's lodging, and said to him, 'I will hie me home, and give my wife the purse, and don my fine clothes, and return to the marriage.' And Ali followed him. Now Zuraq had married a black girl, one of the freed women of the Wazir Jafar, and she had borne him a son, who he had named Abdullah. And he had promised her to spend the money in the purse on the occasion of the boy's circumcision and his marriage procession. So he went into his house. As he entered, his wife saw that his face was overcast, and asked him, What hath caused thee thy sadness? Quoth he, Allah hath afflicted me this day with a rascal who has made 7 attempts to get the purse, but without avail. And quoth she, Give it to me, that I may lay it up against the boy's festival day. Now Ali, who had followed him, lay hidden in a closet whence he could see and hear all. So he gave her the purse and changed his clothes, saying, Keep the purse safely, O Abdallah, for I am going to the wedding. But she said, Take thy sleep a while. So he lay down and he fell asleep. Presently Ali rose, and going on tiptoe to the purse, took it and went to the house of the wedding, and stood there looking at the fun. Now, meanwhile, Zurak dreamed that he saw a bird flying away with the purse, and awakening in a fright, said to his wife, Rise, look for the purse. And so she went looking, and finding it gone, buffeted her face and said, Alas, the blackness of thy fortune, O Abdallah, a sharker hath taken the purse. Quoth Zurak, By Allah, it can be none other than that rascal Ali, who hath plagued me all day. He hath followed me home and seized the purse, and there is no help but that I go and get it back. Quoth she, Except thou bring it, I will lock on thee the door, and leave thee to pass the night in the street. So he went up to the house of the wedding, and seeing Ali looking on, said to him, This is he who took the purse, but he lodgeth with Ahmad al-Danaf. So he forthwent went to the barracks, and climbing up at the back, dropped down into the saloon, where he found everyone asleep. Presently there came a rap at the door, and Zurak answered, Who is there? Ali of Cairo, answered the knocker. And Zurak said, Hast thou brought the purse? So Ali thought it was Hassan Shuman, and replied, I have brought it, open the door. Quoth Zurak, Impossible that I open to thee till I see the purse, for thy chief and I had laid a wager about it. Said Ali, Put out thy hand. So he put out his hand through the hole in the side door, and Ali laid the purse in it. Whereupon Zurak took it, and going forth as he had come in, returned to the wedding. Ali stood for a long time while at the door, but none opened it to him. And at last he gave a thundering knock that awoke all the men, and they said, This is Ali of Cairo's peculiar rap. So the hall-keeper opened to him, and Hassan Shuman said to him, Hast thou brought the purse? Replied Ali, Enough of the jesting, O Shuman. Didst thou not swear that thou wouldest not open to me till I showed thee the purse? And I did. I not give it to thee through the hole in the side door? And didst thou not say to me, I am sworn never to open the door till thou showest me the purse? Quoth Hassan, By Allah, 'twas not I who took it, but Zurak. Quoth Ali, Needs must I get it again, and repaired to the house of the wedding, where he heard the buffoon say, Bravo, O Abu Abdallah! Good luck to thee with thy son. Said Ali, My luck is in the ascendant, and going to the fishmonger's lodging, climbed over the back wall of the house, and found his wife asleep. So he drugged her with bang, and clad himself in her clothes. Then he took the child in his arms, and went round searching till he found a palm-leaf basket containing buns, which Zurak of his niggardliness had kept from the greater feast. Presently the fishmonger returned and knocked at the door, whereupon Ali imitated his wife's voice and asked, Who is at the door? Abu Abdallah, answered Zurak. And Ali said, I swore that I would open the door to thee, except thou broughtest back the purse. Quoth the fishmonger, I have brought it. Cried Ali, Here with it into my hand, before I open the door. And Zurak answered, saying, Lie down the basket and take it therein. So Sharper Ali let down the basket, and the other put the purse therein, whereupon Ali took it and drugged the child. Then he aroused the woman, and making off by the back way he had entered, returned with the child and the purse and the basket of cakes to the barracks, and showed them to the 40, who praised his dexterity. Thereupon he gave them cakes, which they ate, and made over the boy to Hassan Shuman, saying, This is Zurak's child. Hide it by thee. So he hid it, and fetching a lamb, gave it to the hall-keeper, who cooked it whole, wrapped it in a cloth, and laid it out shrouded as if it was a dead body. Meanwhile Zurak stood a while waiting at the door, then gave a knock like thunder, and his wife said to him, Hast thou brought the purse? He replied, Didst thou not take it up in the basket thou didst not let down before now? And she rejoined, I let no basket down to thee, nor have I set eyes on the purse. Quoth he, By Allah, the sharper hath been beforehand with me, and hath taken the purse again. Then he searched the house, and found the basket of cakes gone, and the child missing, and cried out again, Alas, my child! Whereupon the woman beat her breast, and said, I in thee to the wazir, for none have killed my son save the sharper, and all because of thee. Cried Zurrah, I will answer for him. So he tied the kerchief of truce around his neck, and going to Ahmad al-Danaf's lodging, knocked at the door. The hall-keeper admitted him, and he entered Hassan Shuman, and asked him, What bringeth thee here? He answered, Do you intercede with Ali the Kareem to restore me my child, and I will yield to him the purse of gold. Quoth Hassan, Allah requite thee, O Ali. Why didst thou not tell me it was his child? What hath befallen him? Cried Zurrah, and Hassan replied, We gave him raisins to eat, and he choked and died, and this is he. Quoth Zurrah, Alas, my son, what shall I say to his mother? Then he rose, and opening the shroud, saw it was a lamb barbecued, and said, Thou makest sport of me, O Ali. Then they gave him the child, and Calamity Ahmad said to him, Thou didst hang up the purse, proclaiming that it should be the property of any sharper who should be able to take it, and Ali hath taken it. So 'tis the very property of our Kareem. Zurrah answered, I make him a present of it. But Ali said to him, Do thou accept it on the account of thy niece Zaynab? And Zurrah replied, I accept it. Then quoth the 40, We demand of thee Zaynab in marriage for Ali of Cairo. But quoth he, I have no control over her save of her kindness. Hassan asked, Dost thou grant our suit? And he answered, Yes, I will grant her in marriage to him who can avail to her or the marriage settlement. And what is of her dowry? Inquired Hassan. And Zurrah replied, She hath sworn that none shall mount her breast, save the man who bringeth her the robe of Kamar, daughter of the Zira, the Jew, and the rest of her gear. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of the day, and ceased to say her permitted say. And so do I cease my telling of this tale, till it be morrow.